Hey, everybody. Welcome back, Right Riders. Glad to have you here. Keith Wheeler here. And let's get this live Q&A started. First, I see Easy Graphics is there. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me, if you can see me. Oh. Let me know, everybody, if you can hear me or see me. In the meantime, I don't want just some dead air. There we go. Here's the chat. Patricia's here from St. Louis. St. Louis. I'm actually about 3 hours south of you over here by Springfield. So glad to have you here. And yes, just like Easy Graphics said, make sure that you smash that like button. Give it a nice smashy. Again, it gives me that nice warm fuzzy feeling. Audio and video are good. Hear and see you fine. Thank you so much, Andy. I appreciate it. Let me know just a little bit off the cuff right now. I'm actually going to be changing my entire studio in the next coming weeks. So let me know. I know it's a little thing, but what do you think about the mic being in the camera shot? I have mixed feelings about it. So I wanted to check with you guys and see what you think. Dale from Self Publishing with Dale in the house. Glad to have you here, buddy. Looking forward to our chat tomorrow. So when it comes to my Q&A, I will answer as many questions as I can. I can't promise to answer every question. There are certain questions that I won't answer, but I'll tell you about that when they pop up because I'm sure they will. But you can ask me anything about self-publishing, my favorite color, whatever you want to ask. So, yes, an image overhaul. Okay. Good check. Good idea. Good idea. Patricia says she doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You matter, but it doesn't matter about the mic. Okay. All right. That seems to be what I've seen on other channels. I know Dale has it with his new setup. And it didn't seem to bother anybody. But with my OCD, I figured I'd at least check with the people that really matter when it comes to this channel, which is the viewers. Sounds good. I appreciate it, Dale. Thank you. Dale says, it doesn't matter. To me, if your mic is in the shot or not, go with what works best for your video. Sounds good. I think it will make the audio clearer if I put it in the mic or if I put it in the shot. So that was one of the thoughts that I had when it comes to setting up my new studio. And yes, good morning to everyone. Good morning to everyone, says Jan and Ice. I think that's what it says. Hold on. My computer is giving me issues right now. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Gotta love reminders that pop up at the most unopportune times. Good morning, Jocelyn. Oh, here we go. First question from Patricia. In looking for an illustrator for my second picture book, would it be better if they worked in Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator? What they work in doesn't really matter that much to me. I really haven't noticed a difference with the quality. It really comes down to whether or not they're going to be able to provide you with the illustrations that you're looking for. And when it comes to getting illustrations, I it's really hard when, especially with the children's book, when you've got these visions already in your head. I strongly suggest to allow your illustrator to give a little bit of themselves in the illustrations as well. It makes them a part of the whole process, and they're going to feel a lot more constrained if you're very specific with what you want. Now, not to mean that you should give in on certain things. So give them a little bit of leeway. But when it comes to whether they use Photoshop or they use Illustrator, Illustrator is more of the professional version that that real professional illustrators tend to go towards, at least from my experience. But as far as the quality that comes out of it, I've seen good quality either way. Great question. Okay. Since I'm sure you've answered this before, but what is the best word puzzle maker for both kids and adults word puzzles? Um, I'm actually going to do a video comparing two of them that I've used, but uh, the it's a hard question. I have been asked that numerous times. Um, it depends on what you're looking for. The main thing to understand when it comes to kids versus adult word puzzles is really a lot of it just comes down to the complexity level. And you can set that with most puzzle making software that I've found. You just change the size of the puzzle itself. You change the words that are in it. By changing the size, you therefore change the number of letters that are possible. So instead of it being 10 by 10 grid, it'll be a 4 by 4 or 5 by 5, or something along those lines. So you want to look for software that can do that. I know that Ken Blutman he's got Puzzle Book Mastery, but he also has Kids Book Mastery or Kids Puzzle Book Mastery. Um, the Kids Puzzle Book Mastery is good. I mean, they're both really good. The big difference between them is, in the kids one, you'll have puzzles that um, not just puzzles, but games like tic tac toe and hangman, which if you want to create yourself, I've got videos that show you how to do it. So you don't have to worry about that aspect. I've yet to see one that really allows you to specialize and do either kids or adults in the same one, and, without any issues. I have used Words Puzzle Generator, and which Neurongen puts out. That, and I recently did a video on that. That one is really good because you can actually change the size of the like word search puzzle. So you can change it from 16 by 16 to 10 by 10. There are limits to how small you can go. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what it is. I want to say it's a 10 by 10 or 12 by 12, maybe, which is still a good size for kids, depending on how young the kids you're going for is. So, but then again, it's also a matter of making sure that you're using words that are easy for them to spell, therefore easier for them to find. If they have to keep looking back at the word list to see how to spell a certain word, it's going to be harder for them to do it. That's a good question. Okay, chat is just popping right now. Glad to see everybody here. Howdy from Virginia. Mary Vogelsong's here. Okay, more people answering about saying they don't care if the microphone's in the chat. Good morning from Eastern Tennessee. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Looks good. Everybody saying hi. Easy Graphics going to behave themselves today because self-publishing with Dale is in the house. And yeah, he does have that moderator wrench. Yeah, Dale, I actually need to get a new lavalier mic. Mine actually, after 2 years, decided it was going to stop working. But it's funny because it only stopped working with the laptop. If I use it on my phone, it works fine. So it's whatever. Okay, let's see what other questions we got here. Okay, we'll hide that one. Okay, got a question here from Easy Graphics. How do you vet a good Fiverr freelancer? There's a lot of fear and discomfort with trust and with freelancers on Fiverr. Um, no, that's an absolutely good point. And it's a really good question. That what I like to do, well, first of all, before I hire anybody, and I've talked about this before, but I always check out what they've done. You can check out the reviews, but just like book reviews, you're not exactly sure what went into creating those, but you can read them. But unfortunately, the easiest way for me to vet somebody is to just hire them to do a small whatever I need done, whether it's editing or if I need illustrations or whatever. One is you look at what they've done, you look at their reviews, and then I usually will hire them to do a small version. So Like when I was testing out people for my children's book illustrations, I found four of them, and I paid each of them to do just a one-page illustration, and that's what I was able to do to really um, pick what was best for me and for my book. But yeah, I understand if you go in any freelance platform is going to have bad reps, and they're going to have people that um, are not necessarily giving you the best quality possible. And so it's understandable that regardless of where you go, that you're going to have some apprehensions. So that's what I would do is I would look at their reviews, look at how many stars they have. I don't necessarily pay attention too much to their seller status, like whether they're level 1, level 2, top seller, anything like that, because that could just mean that they're new to the platform, not necessarily new to whatever you're hiring them to do. There's new people, especially with a lot more people working from home right now. There's a lot of people that jumped onto platforms like Fiverr to earn extra income. So just because they're level 1 or it says they're a new seller, it doesn't mean they're new to doing illustrations or editing or anything like that. So their Fiverr level is the least important thing to me. If you're asking that, if you want them to do something like editing or ghostwriting, then another thing you can do is read the about them section or about the gig section, just to see what their grasp of grammar is, to see what their writing style is, and just to kind of get a better feel if it's going to fit what you're looking for. But again, the best way to do it honestly is to just hire them to do a small version. If it's ghostwriting, have them write, 200 words, something small, something going to be fairly inexpensive to you, but will give you a good idea as to what their capabilities are. I hope that answers your question, buddy. And grab a little coffee. Yeah, self-publishing, that lav mic, I think it's got like a 19-foot cord. Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, people chatting amongst themselves. That's great. Okay, here comes a question. Okay, question from Patricia. Do you think keyword or category ads are more effective for children's books? To be honest, I actually run both. I run a category ad and I run keyword ads. I prefer to do manual opposed to automated ads, but yeah, I actually run both because it's a different type of viewer or different type of consumer, and you want to get their attention in any way, shape, or form you can. I've been in market research for over 20 years, and one thing that you learn is that um, it takes I believe the last stats I saw is it takes someone 7 times to see your ad before they are interested or before they even consider buying it or before they even quote unquote recognize it. And so because of that, you want your ads to be visible multiple ways. So I absolutely do both category ads and keyword ads, and I've found them to be equally effective depending on for my children's books specifically. Depending on how what categories. I'm making sure that you're doing your due diligence and picking the right categories, picking uh, keywords that will give you visibility, but as well as are relevant to your particular book that you're advertising. So, unfortunately, I can't really give you one or the other because, from my experience, they're both very effective if used correctly. We've got good evening from Thailand. Thank you, Paul, for coming. Uh, yeah. Let's see. Okay, Jocelyn says that they are with Patricia, considering category versus keyword ads too. Yeah, I mean, if you've been using keyword ads, depending on Obviously I'm not going to recommend that just let the ads run and don't pay attention to the amount you're paying out, because your bills are what matters. I mean, no matter how much you're making, if you're anything like me, you still want to save as much money as you can. And so, yeah, I definitely suggest checking your analytics on your ads every single day. I even do it on the weekend, and tweak the ones that are, if people are clicking on them but you're not getting sales, then you want to make sure um, that you pause those particular keywords, so you're not just sending money out the window. But yeah, I would suggest trying a category ad in conjunction with your keyword ads and see how they benefit each other. You'll be surprised. Okay. Yeah, I can chat about ad strategy for Q4. Okay, so when I do my ad strategy for Q4 isn't really much different than my ad strategy throughout the rest of the year. Um, but what I do is, as I alluded to, is I do a category ad, a keyword ad. Sometimes I'll even do an automated keyword ad if it's for a niche that I'm newer in, just to see what kind of keywords Amazon thinks will work for my particular book, and might be something I didn't think of, or something that Publisher Rocket didn't come up with. When I create my keywords, that's usually where I get them from, is from Publisher Rocket. But um so I'll run anywhere between 2 and 3 ads per book, but I make sure that I still stay with the $5 a day budget. As far as my CPC, my cost per click, I'll usually keep it around. If it's for keywords, I usually keep it around 13 cents to start, and see how that works. One thing that I've found that people have a tendency to do is they give up on their ads too soon. Or they'll start, or give up on their keywords or categories or whatever too soon. I don't make any decisions about my keywords until I have at least 2,000 impressions. I want to make sure that enough people have seen the ad in order for me to make a decision based on the data that's there. And so what I'll do is I will go in and, after I have 2,000 or more uh, impressions, then I'll go in and I will check out what keywords are getting clicks. Are those clicks turning into buys? Keep one thing in mind, that when someone, I actually was talking to a student about this yesterday. When someone clicks on your ad, and this is another thing I've seen people give up on their ads too soon, is if they click on your ad but don't buy it. Going back to what I said earlier, how someone has to see your ad about 7 times in order to decide to buy it, as an average. um, just because they clicked on it, they might not buy it that day, but then they come back later and they buy it later on. If that cookie has that Amazon ads has put on their computer has expired, it may not register as a click or as a sale for based on the ad, even though it really was because of the ad. So you really need to know what your average sales are for that particular book or product when you're doing ads, because this is something that I've seen people close their ads because they think that they're not generating any sales, when in actuality they are. They're just later sales, later than um, what the Amazon ad uh, cookie has put into the computer, or onto their computer, which I believe is a 24-hour cookie last I checked. And one thing to make sure you remember when you're doing any kind of ads is, at the end of the day, it's still a gamble. It's an investment, but it's still a gamble, in the fact that you need to make sure that you don't spend more than you can afford to. Even if you're making a great number of sales, remember that Amazon isn't going to pay you. KDP is not going to pay you for those sales until 60 days later, but Amazon wants their money for those ads, this month. So keep that in mind. You don't spend anything that you can't afford to spend right now, this month. That's another thing to keep in mind. One thing I see people do when it comes to Q4 is because they heard Q4 is, amazing. And so they throw all their money into Q4 and then some. So definitely be cognizant of that as well. Do you think Helium 10 is worth the expense for low and high content authors? Um, well, first of all, you're welcome. Second of all, I've just started dabbling with Helium 10, and I'll be honest. I don't think I've used it enough to be able to say wholeheartedly, like without a doubt. But I know there's a free version, so the free version, absolutely, it's worth it. That expense is worth it for anybody. It's my favorite four-letter F word. Um, but when it comes to the monthly fee that they have, yeah, they've sometimes there's systems out there that just overwhelm people because they have so much, so many options. Um, so it's really going to depend on if you have shiny object syndrome. If you get shiny object syndrome easily, then I would say you probably don't want it because you're going to want to test out this and test out this and play around with a bunch of things that may not even be relevant to books in general. It could be something that's more for FBA use, people that are doing FBA and stuff like that. And then if it's taking you away from creating content, then it's not worth it. The most important thing for you as an author is to continue to create content, whether it's no content, low content, or written books. You need to make sure that that's the best way. People ask me all the time, what's the best way to sell books? It's to put out more books. The more books that you have out there, the more quality books that you have out there, the better your chances of being discovered. Obviously, keywords, great cover, all that other stuff matter. Absolutely. But at the end of the day, how popular would Stephen King be if he only had one book out? So I hope that answers your question. I would say try it out for the free version first. See how much of it you use. Even the things that are on the paid version, in many instances, you have availability to it on the free version. You just have a limited number. You can only do two or something like that. So I would definitely try the free version first and see how that works for you and how much you're using it. The extension you'll see in some of my videos if I'm doing if I'm doing something on Amazon, you'll see some of the things that the extension does. How much of that do you use? So again, I would try the free version first, and this goes for pretty much any software. If they have a free version, try the free version first. See how much you use and how many of the things that you don't have access to did you want at that particular time. Maybe keep a little track of it on a notepad or something like that, and then you can ask yourself, with again looking at the data, looking at the notes that you've taken, is it worth however much a month that they're asking for? And then the other thing is, I know it's cheaper to go annual with almost every software. um, I would still do month to month, at least for the first couple months, because once you start paying for it and you have access to everything, are you really using it? Because if you're not, then there's no sense in paying. Yeah, you got a great deal for a year, but if you're not going to use it for the year, then it's really not a great deal. you know so I would still do month to month. I would try it free, and then if you like it and you want to upgrade, I would upgrade for a month or two and see how much of that you use. What are your thoughts on pre-orders for new releases? um Great question. My thoughts are, i I like I really like pre-releases if it makes sense for your book. Pre-releases give you opportunity to to really get that buzz going, and I mean, you can get buzz going on social media and everything else, but um, people get in the hype, and then the hype starts to die out. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate into a sale by the time sale day comes. But by doing a pre-order, people can go in and actually make the purchase while you're getting the buzz going. And so, in many cases, it's a really, really good idea. Also, the new releases, they used to call it hot new releases on Amazon, but now it's called the new releases. Um, it it will list your book and rank it based on, it goes for the 30 days, the first 30 days that a book is live. So what that means is if your book is on a 2-month pre-order, it will be on that new release list for the 2 months that it's on pre-release, and then the 30 days that it's actually live. So you basically, by making a 2-month pre-release, you have a chance of your book being on the new releases for whatever categories you're in for a total of 3 months. The 2 months that it's on pre-order, and then the month that it's actually live. So that can give you a lot more visibility as well. So keep that in mind as well. And it's basically a whole nother category. So if you have your book in 10 categories and then you're in the new releases as well, your book is technically in 20 categories because it's in the bestseller somewhere, whether it's a number one bestseller or a number 1000 bestseller. It's still in that list. It's still indexed. It might not rank, but it's still indexed. And so these are more categories that your book can be indexed in. And the first 3 of new releases for each category will actually show up on the Amazon page. Usually about, I think it's like after the fifth, or I'm trying to figure it out. I think it's like the second row on the bestsellers for that category. There'll be top, I think it's top picks, or it's the hot list, which is things that people want, or maybe wish list. And then the next to that is the one that says hot releases. Good question. All right, gotta get ready for Andy's question right here. How is ebook fairs going for you so far? Would love to hear your experience. Did it increase, decrease, or no change with your sales? Okay, so for those people who don't know, ebook fairs is a way to promote your books, and I'm not really a fan of the name only because it's not just for ebooks. You can do paperbacks, hardcovers, whatever you want in there. So don't let the name fool you. Ebook fairs it's actually, it depends on the niche that I've done. I've never had any decreases in sales. Let me just start off by answering that part. I have had most of the books that have been in fairs have done either the same, but most of them have actually had increased sales than when they weren't in ebook fairs, just from my experience. That goes for my children's books. That goes for my puzzle books that I've done. Yes, I've done puzzle books in ebook fairs as some of my young adult books. Um, so far, and definitely worth I think it's like $5 a month. Definitely more than $5 a month in average have I made back. So yeah, I'm not worried about that at all. Let's see what other questions you got. Okay. Yeah. So most of them have increased. None have decreased. Maybe one or two have done no change. The key thing to remember when it comes to ebook fairs is you're basically getting other authors to promote your book for you. But that therein lies the issue, though. If the people, there's people out there that don't want to do a lot of work. They're paying $5 a month, and they think if they put their book in this particular fair, that, hey, everybody else will promote it for me. But if you happen to be in a fair where everybody's thinking the same way you are, then you're probably not going to get a lot of sales, because if nobody's promoting it, no one's going to see it. There are some things that I have suggested to Kenneth, the creator of ebook fairs. One thing that I'm strongly suggested him to do is to implement an end date. Right now, if you do an ad, if you not an ad, if you put your book in a book fair, even if you are no longer using ebook fairs, your book will always be in that book fair, and basically always be available to purchase. It'll still link to your Amazon sales page. The thing is, and I've run physical book fairs with the elementary schools for years with my wife. And one thing that really made a big difference was the fact that there was an end date. They get that sense of urgency, the sense of scarcity, and the fear of missing out. All those big keywords that people that are trying to sell something think about. But with the ebook fairs, it doesn't have that. So I think that one, by implementing that, it'll give people a sense of urgency instead of putting something off. They know they only have one more day before this book fair goes away. Then they'll be more likely to make a purchase then. But also, it comes down to, like I said, being in a fair with other authors that are really serious about this, that are really serious about just, promoting their book and other books like it. Um, don't just put your book in a fair that isn't relevant to your book. I get people inviting me to join their fairs uh, literally daily, and I turn down most of them because they don't fit that particular book, or they don't fit any of my books sometimes, you know. And I wonder if some of them are doing it because they're hoping that I will promote it for them, and they'll basically be like going onto my email list. And that's not, first of all, that's not where I promote my ebook fairs. Um, and second of all, y- you need to make sure that not just your book, but all the books that are in your fair, if you're hosting a fair, all the books that are in there are relevant to the topic. Because what happens is if someone goes in there, a precious buying customer goes in there, and they just see a mishmash of books that seem to have no relevancy to the topic of that particular book fair, not only will they likely not buy anything, but the next time you share a book fair, they're going to be less likely to click on it. So not only you're not getting a sale now, you have a tendency to lose future sales. So um, I would say definitely want to align yourself with book fairs that the people in there are seriously going to promote it. And a great way to tell if people are promoting it is to see how many hearts their books have. Because typically, if someone's sending it out to their list, or they're sending it out to their social media or whatever, their book is going to get likes, because they're going to get likes from the people that follow them, or their friends, or their family, or whatever case may be. So if you see a book out there that has no hearts on it, and the fair's been out there for 2, 3, 4, 5 days, the chances are they're not promoting it. So, hope that answers your question. Dale Dale asks, "Have you looked into scribe count yet? Seems interesting." I have not. There's about 10 different things that I'm supposed to be looking into that I've not gotten anywhere close to. One of them was scribe count. One of them was helium 10. Um, so there, yeah, it's on my list. It definitely looks interesting, absolutely. But I haven't looked at it at all, so I can't even make an initial decision on it. Other than it definitely does seem interesting. Thank you. Amelia, thank you. Could not have written my first book without your videos. Thank you. That means a lot to me. I appreciate it. But just remember, my videos might have helped you, might have encouraged you, but you did the work. So don't underestimate the amount of work you've put in there. Easy graphics. Yeah. Favorite four-letter F word, free. Absolutely. Okay, Amelia has a question. When I search my book, which is the only alphabet book on Honduras, It doesn't show in the search unless I write the whole name and my name. Are my search keys not good enough? It Part of it will depend on how long ago you published it. You know, people in this day and age, we have this tendency to where we want immediacy. We want an immediate, um, whatever we do, we need to get results now. And it takes a while for a book to get picked up from the Amazon algorithm, which is one reason why in the recent video I did when I talk about updating your keywords, I definitely suggest not updating your keywords anything less than or anything more frequently than every 90 days, because you need to give it time to get picked up by the algorithm. So if your book hasn't been, um, I mean, if it's the only alphabet book on Honduras, I mean, I can't say whether or not your keywords are searchable or strong because I don't know what your keywords are, but and I would use something like Publisher Rocket. If you don't have Publisher Rocket, you can just go on to Amazon in incognito mode and just do a search and see what shows in the pop-up. And you can see how competitive it is by the number of uh, other books that get pulled up when you put in that search term. And that will give you a little bit of ideas to how the competition is. And then when you look at the other books in that pop up, you can see how well they're selling to let you know if it's a lucrative niche or not. But whether or not they're picking up, if you published your book, I mean, if you're putting in the title, I mean, and if it's the only one with that title, which I'll be honest, unless it's a very obscure title, there's there's going to be more than one. But it should still pull up your book. So I would assume, based on the information you put here, that maybe you recently published it, like within the first 2 weeks or so. If it's been more than that, if it's been more than a month, then I would reach out to KDP and see what they have to say on it. You can also try to search by your ASIN and see if it shows up that way. That'll give you a little bit more information. It absolutely should. It should pull up when you do your ASIN. If it doesn't, then that's definitely something you want to let KDP know about. But if it's been, like I said, if it's been less than, if it's been less than 2 weeks, I would just give it some more time. But if it's been a month or more, definitely reach out to KDP and let me know. Follow up and let me know how things go because I'm really interested. Okay. You already knew what I was going to say. Okay, so here's the first thing I would say about these keywords. They're and I don't like the word keywords. I think that's the biggest misconception that people have is because in the industry we talk about putting in your keywords and then people automatically think that that's one or two words. And the problem is if you with the keyword Honduras, you're literally going to show up. You'll be indexed for the word Honduras, which means that when someone types in Honduras, your book will show up. Might be on page 1000, but it'll show up. And that's what indexing is. Indexing means that your book is going to be quote unquote shown. Ranking has to do with how relevant that word is to your book will bring you closer to page one, top of the page, which is the ideal spot where everybody wants to be because that's the first thing people are going to see. Chances are someone's not going to go to page 1000 and find your book. So the issue I see right off the bat is that you're only using one or two words. You're using very broad keywords. And the problem is, like I said, you're not the only one using those. So even if you're the only Honduras alphabet book, you're not the only Honduras book, and you're not the only alphabet book. And so what you want to do is do what we call long tail keywords or keyword stemming, some people call it, where you're basically putting words together that are relevant to your book. That's the most important thing because relevancy is what Amazon cares. Well, Amazon cares the most about the customer. And the way to make the customer happy is to give them something relevant to what they typed in. So if you don't, if don't just put keywords in there because they're profitable, because if it's not relevant to your book, then it's going to end up hurting you in the at the end. So if yours is uh, an alphabet a Honduras alphabet book for children, then I would put that as a keyword phrase. Check and see if it's profitable, check and see what the competition is. Like I said, either using Publisher Rocket or just going onto Amazon in incognito mode and checking it that way. But in one of your keyword slots, something along the lines of Honduras alphabet children's book for kids, whatever age to whatever age. Um, so that is a keyword. So instead of thinking of keywords, I want everybody here to think of keyword phrases from now on. Anytime they see the word keywords, ignore the idea, the connotation that is just one or two words. It is a phrase. So that will probably help you show up, because what's probably happening is your book is showing up. Again, when you type it in, it's just showing up on, like I said, some obscure page later on down, you know, page 400, page 500 or whatever, that no one, including you, is going to want to search for. You're not going to want to go that far back to find a specific book. So I would tweak your keywords so that way they're more of keyword phrases, and see how that helps with your searchability as well as your sales. Again, let me know how that goes. Okay, Scott DC says, I'm currently working on a new book cover. I'm creating iterations of the same design. Is there basic formula I should be considering? I want to choose one that grabs the buyer's attention. Unfortunately, I really can't. I can't give you just one generalization, because every niche is different, every sub niche is different. But what I can say is, when you make an iteration, when you're making your book cover, go into your niche, take your book cover that you have, take the image of it, put it at a thumbnail size, so it's the same size as all the other ones that you're seeing on screen on Amazon. See how your book compares. Does your book stand out? Meaning, it looks, first of all, because it can stand out in a good way and a bad way. You want it to stand out in a good way, meaning it looks like it fits with that genre, but it stands out. It looks more professional. Maybe the colors pop a little better or whatever. Now, standing out the bad way is where it stands out because it doesn't look anything like the other books there. I know some people have a tendency to, I want to do something completely different. And while sometimes that works, majority of the time it doesn't, because there's a reason why, you know, sci-fi books, usually have a spaceship in it or something like that, because that's what the readers have come to expect. And so there's no sense in reinventing the wheel and coming up with something new and different. Uh, and then you get upset when you don't get any sales, because if it looks too new and different, people are going to be shied away from it because people don't like change. So um, you want to make something that fits in, that still has some of the tropes of that particular niche or sub niche, but then you can add, one little element that makes yours different, maybe a little different color scheme or whatever. So that's what I would do. That's the biggest generalization I can give you, is to take, regardless of what industry, what niche you're in, whether it's, whether it's written books, no content, puzzle books, whatever. When you create the cover, compare it to other covers in that niche or sub niche and see if it fits in while still standing out, if that makes sense. Amelia, I really appreciate the kind words. Thank you so much. Um, yes, Callan, I know. It breaks my heart. Easy Graphics, you're very welcome. You want to network with, here, I'll put this up here. You need to, when it comes to ebook fairs, you want to network with similar niche authors, but they don't necessarily have to be the same niche. That's another thing when it comes to the book fairs. When I did physical book fairs at the elementary school, they weren't all about, they weren't all sci-fi books for kids, but they still had a theme around them. So it could be just Halloween books. So not necessarily books specifically for kids, let's say kids picture books. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the same niche, but some underlying continuity that will tie them all together. So these are all sports themed books, or these are all, you know, princess books, or whatever. Um, and that's really helpful because then that allows you some variety within the books that are in that particular fair. You know, it's kind of hard if all you're doing is picture books. It's really hard to have your book stand out amongst all these other picture books. So, but if you're one of five picture books in a, you know, an entire fair about summertime, then, you know, and or adventure or whatever, then your competition is a lot smaller, even though the book fair could be bigger. And you're bringing in people from all walks of life, not necessarily people that necessarily buy children's books, but your children's book might still catch their eye, and you know, because they were there for, you know, an adult book or a puzzle book on, you know, on summertime, and they see a children's book and, hey, that might be great for my niece, and then they'll pick it up. So yes, you definitely want to, you always want to network. You always want to network with people both with similar niches as well as different, because I've found, I've grown as an author just by, you know, hanging out with and chatting with people in other genres as well. But but also, again, think outside the box, and you know, your fairs don't just have to be niche oriented. Okay. Ebook fair, great question. Ebook fairs, how do you go about getting involved with by doing this? That's a great question. I have a video on ebook fairs. Um, and if you want to just check it out and learn a little bit behind the scenes, the thumbnail says something along the lines of book promotion for less than $5. You could also go to kwheelerbooks.com slash, I believe it's book fairs. Let's double check real quick. Yes, it is kwheelerbooks.com slash book fairs. And that will bring you to the ebook fairs page. Yes, that is an affiliate link. No, it will not affect your price at all. But or you can just go to their website. Either way. Joyce asks, Keith, do you still write short stories? I do. I do still write short stories. I've kind of got the bug. If I don't know if Dale's still in the house with self-publishing from Dale, but he's the one that got me hooked on those writing those short reads. And you know, he did it as a challenge. And yeah, son of a gun, I got hooked. I do still write them. I don't write them as frequently as I'd like, just because I have so many other things to do. But yeah, I still love to write short stories. Okay. All right. Looks like we've been going about 48, 49 minutes. So we're probably gonna have to wrap up pretty soon. So if you have any questions, make sure you throw them down there. Um, Sharon says, thanks. My question is, does KDP allow author suggestions for the categories? Um, you could suggest it. Whether or not they're going to listen, the bottom line is Amazon. KDP is owned by Amazon. Amazon cares, number one, about their customers, and so they're always tweaking their categories to align with what the customers are looking for, and to make things as easy on the customer as possible. Because the easier they are on customers, and this is something you want to keep in mind as an author, the easier it is for the customer to click buy, the more likely they will do so. And so you can use that same mentality when it comes to writing your book description. You know, your book description it's your sales page. It's all about going from each line should either make them want to read the next line or make them want to click buy. So it's that same mentality. So you can make a suggestion, but whether or not they take that suggestion is still remains to be seen. Now, I do want to clarify. You're talking about KDP. If you're talking about the categories when you're in your dashboard and you're actually uploading a book and you pick those, then don't bother making the suggestion because those aren't Amazon categories. Those are BISAC categories, and BISAC categories are international, and that's the kind of those are the ways that bookstores and libraries um, index your book. And so those are not going to change. I mean, they may change, but it's not going to be an author that changes it. It's going to have to be something that they agree upon internationally to add a category. So if you're talking about those one or two that are um, in your dashboard, depending on whether you're using KDP or Lulu or somebody else, those are just your BISAC categories. That just gives them an idea of where to put your book until they learn more from your readers and purchasers. Okay, I love to hear Amelia. I've been married almost 25 years. I love to hear I'm right. Um, so I don't hear it very often with 4 kids. So thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, precious buying customers. Let's see. Question. Mark has a question. In the keyword section, when you're uploading a book in KDP, is it best to repeat words in your title and subtitle? Okay. So there are mixed ideas about this. So uh, Dave Chesson did a really good um, deep dive and case study on keywords on doing your keywords. But basically, putting Amazon tells you right off the bat, or KDP tells you right off the bat, that repeating your keywords doesn't help you. Um, that said, that's not 100% true. If you have a keyword phrase that is, because it doesn't hurt you either, but if you have a keyword phrase, you remember we talked about keyword phrases earlier. If you have a keyword phrase that is that particular keyword phrase is is profitable, it's got low competition, high search volume, then it's okay to leave your repeat a word that happens to be in your title or subtitle. It's fine. Um, because the less moving around the algorithm has to do, it the better. Because if someone types in exactly that keyword phrase, remember we talked about indexing versus ranking, you'll always be indexed for every combination of those words. But if it's that exact combination, then you will rank higher because it is appears to be more relevant. And so if it's the same, if it's reusing some of those words, that's fine as long as it's like that particular keyword phrase is going to be profitable for you. Otherwise, it's just a waste of characters on your keywords. You only have 50 characters per slot, 7 slots, so you got 350 characters. So if it's not going to be a beneficial, like exact match, then I would not worry about repeating certain words that happen to appear in your title and subtitle. I hope that answers your question. Leave it to Dale. Multitasking. Gotta love that. Are there any books or other resources you could recommend for when the going gets tough? Um, oh man, there's so many. Uh, there. Okay, so it really depends on when the going gets tough for me. The first thing I like to do is when it comes to reading a book is to turn my brain off. Yeah, I like to read something that I enjoy, not something in my necessarily in my niche, not something about business. Um, there are so many things that can tie you up that um, that I like to just decompress and read something completely irrelevant. So find whatever you like to read. It could be a comic book or a graphic novel. It could be, if you like business books, you can read that. But if you're talking about motivational, I'll tell you one of the people that put out the best motivational videos when it comes to writing. If you just want general, like, deep motivational, Evan Carmichael is amazing. And I know Dale will agree with that. But if you want to stay within writing, Chris Fox, he will periodically do some really moving and what seem to be very poignant and fit me, like the mood I'm in when I need some kind of motivation. He seems to know that, and he puts out a video about it. So Chris Fox is another great resource, and he's an author. So it's almost always ties in with being an author. So and they're usually short videos, usually 5-10 minutes. So those are two resources I would use. You're very welcome for the advice and the videos. All right, looks like we're getting towards the end. Paul says it's exactly what they were after. Great to hear it. Great to hear it. Hope everybody is having a wonderful Wednesday. Yep. There you go. I'm actually gonna put this up here. Here we go. Evan is a great resource for daily motivation. Chris is perfect advice and motivation for the author community. Could not agree more, Dale. Could not agree more. Um, so if anybody has any last questions, let me know. Like I said, I really enjoy doing these live streams. I know I don't do them frequently enough. There's we used to do them. Dale and I used to have a Wednesday back to, or not back to back, but two live streams in a day. Um, okay, right here. Yeah. So I'm actually thinking about, and this will be a question I have for you. Uh, all right, nice. Thanks, Andy, for coming. You can just go to the end. I'll ask you later. But question I have for everybody is, I'm thinking about doing live Q&As every Monday, or close to every Monday, probably around about this time. So if that's something you think you'd be interested in, they'll probably only be about 30 minutes long, because I'll be doing them more frequently. Let me know either in the chat, or if you're watching this on the replay, let me know down in the comments if you'd be interested in me doing a weekly Q&A on Mondays. So all right. So you're still going strong on the short stories. I inspired you to write it. It's now a novel. That is awesome. Great to hear. Great to hear. Writing a novel is no small feat. Um, it's rough. um, anybody doing NaNoWriMo real quick? Anybody planning on doing NaNoWriMo? Anybody doing NoNoWriMo? If you've been around the channel long enough, you know what NoNoWriMo is. Basically, it's non-novel writing month. So for those people who don't write novels, but you still want a little drive, you can, instead of writing, 50,000 word in a month, you can put out X number of puzzle pages or X number of comic books or coloring books or short stories or whatever. So I like to call that NoNoWriMo. So let me know if you're interested in, or if you're planning on doing any of that. So it looks like everybody really wants weekly or regular. That's a good term. Regular Q&As. Maybe not weekly, but regular. But they would be most likely on Mondays. Yes, we were the gruesome twosome. We had quite a few little catchphrases to describe ourselves. Weekend Warriors, I think, or Wednesday Warriors was another one. Oh, okay. So make sure that you guys check this out right here. Self-Publishing with Dale says, I'm doing Nano all next month with some live writing sprints. So make sure that you check out his channel if you're not familiar. Not sure what rock you've been under, but if you're not familiar with Self-Publishing with Dale, go check out his channel. And you definitely want to subscribe and click that bell so that way you're alerted when he does those writing sprints. And if you're doing NoNoWriMo, And I may do some writing sprints as well, but and I'll let you guys know that as well. So make sure you subscribe here, click the bell as well. But if you plan on doing NaNoWriMo, uh, you can do that as well. So if you don't want to write and you want to put out puzzles, you said that the main thing is it's a challenge. It's a challenge for you to challenge yourself every day to do something for your business. So whether that's writing 2,000 words or it's creating, um, an interior, creating a cover, whatever it is, whatever it needs to be for your business, that's what it's all about. It doesn't have to be a novel. So that's why I came up with the NaNoWriMo. So, um, and no problem, Dale. So it looks like we don't have any more questions, just a lot of positive comments, which I love. I'm super excited to be able to have done this. Went way longer than I expected. But yeah, so until next time, remember to write right.